2, 1. All right, we should be live. I'm going to refresh this page and make sure that it's here. This is yes, new technology.
Nicely done.
Yes, I'm actually experimenting with this tool. And so I want to use it for worships too on Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sharing it. All right. All right. So I think it's going to archive this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you for agreeing to be the first guest here. I am actually in talks. I'm going to make it sound fancy, but I'm considering doing a weekly talk show format like this.
Oh wow! Okay.
Right now, I'm going to do it with a friend of mine, a podcast / live recording at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But since we are starting the fruit feast coming up, I thought, you know what? Let me get this information out and make sure that other women know what we're doing, and what's going on. Because I don't do a really, a good job, I don't think, of always sharing what's going on and what we're doing. And so I think that I'll hear about it after the fact, like, oh, I wish I had known that. I really need that and that sort of thing. So let's just jump right in there, in here. So I'm Cara Ashburn. Hopefully everybody watching this knows, but if not, or if you happen to see this on a replay somewhere, I'm Cara Ashburn, affectionately known now as Coach K. And I really seek to encourage, empower, and push women to own their own lives and take charge of their life through health and wellness. And one of the things I found is that your health and wellness is completely tied to what's going on in your spirit and what's going on in your mind. That's what it was for me, and I found it to be true with every single woman that I've worked with. My weight was just an outward manifestation of all the other things in my life that were eating me alive, basically. And as I began to work on those things, that's when I started getting my overall health together, and then was blessed with the opportunity to lead others in this area. And so on with us now, I have a dear friend of mine and client, Ebony Wilkins. She is, I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself. She can tell you a little bit about herself and her situation and why she came to the Rebirth, whatever she wants to share.
So, as Coach K said, my name is Ebony Wilkins, and I have been working with her probably officially, I think, since December of last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I am a crazy busy mom with a husband who runs like 48 different businesses out of our home. We have 3 kiddos, really busy life. So I have been vegetarian and vegan most of my adult life, but about 6 years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, I went back to eating meat, and my diet was just awful. So meat and sugar and all types of madness. And so Cara and I have known each other from when she lived here in Richmond, but when she was here, like, we weren't really friends. But then on Facebook is where we really started connecting. And so I kind of have been watching her journey. And so for a while, I was just really like low-key stalking her. And so kind of like following her journey on the fringes, but not really commenting or anything because I wasn't ready to commit. So anyway, she put out there a while back, I think it was when she really started coaching and was really kind of starting the first Rebirth experience. And it was crazy because I was sitting in a Chick-fil-A parking lot and I was like, Lord, for real, I have got to come up off of this Chick-fil-A. I am like addicted to this Yardbird.
People are so addicted to Chick-fil-A.
It is. I mean, I can pass up anything else, but Chick-fil-A was just like literally addicted, like had to have it addicted. sitting in Chick-fil-A parking lot, looking on Facebook while I was eating my 12 count with the large fry and the lemonade.
Oh, no, you didn't say 12.
Moving on. Yes, because if you're going to go hard. Moving on. So, Carl put it out there that she was looking for clients, and I responded like immediately. Was not ready to leave anything that I was doing, was not ready to change my life, but the Holy Spirit was like, it's now. And so that's how I connected with the Rebirth experience. And so Here I am.
Wow. And when you first started, I think that's when I was still only doing the individual, just one-on-one. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
We started with the one-on-one. So I was doing those, and I really enjoyed it because of the intimate interaction. I just felt like I could go deeper with people on everything going on in their lives, things that people might not necessarily want to share in front of other people. Right. However, working a full-time job and managing individual clients and tailored whatever became overwhelming. And so that's why I shifted to the group approach. And I was so worried about losing the touch, but then it's like God came in and just handpicked all these women.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, doesn't it feel like He handpicked everyone?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so it ended up being even more powerful. And I was so surprised. I promise you, I was so worried. I was like, oh, I'm going to lose some of this. But it was so much more powerful, with so many more people touching, agreeing and moving forward in the same thing, that it has just far exceeded any thought or expectation I had. It was just something that they say you should do. They say you should create community, but I wasn't thinking about how much you guys would need it and end up needing each other,
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I remember that. I remember the angst that you were having about transitioning to the group, but that first Rebirth experience, I mean, that thing set a sister free. I mean, in the group sessions, how we would, pray and cry out to God and support each other. And that's really what laid the foundation for me to make the moves and the changes that I've made. Hasn't been perfect. There have been times that I've been like, I'm just going to do whatever. It's too hard. I don't want to. But that spiritual foundation that we laid from the beginning, particularly in the first Rebirth, when we focused so much on the mindset, that was key. That pre-work that we did before we went into the experience was key. And so that has laid the foundation. And even when I'm not perfect, so far from where I was. And I know it's because of, like I said, the foundation that you helped us to lay from the beginning.
Right. And, we're going to go back to that now when we start the fruit feast next week, because I agree, it was so critical, so foundational. And I think that it's so important to know in your mind why you're doing something, why you need to do it. Temptation's going to come. And the other advantage, I think, is us just being together so long. I was just talking to somebody today about how a lot of these programs will be like 1 month and then you're out and done. But, we all know you fall down, you get back up, you fall down, you get back up. And so I was actually thinking, I'm going to make it a 6-month requirement. Like, you must stick with it because you're going to need it. Yeah. And I want us all, because I'm still a work in progress, to have, to be continuously accountable and to have real success, not just, oh, you came in, oh, well, goodbye, but be able to, fall down, but have somebody else pick you back up so that you can keep pressing forward. And so one last thing on that, when I first started my own transformation, I said, I have to do everything different than what I've done in the past if I'm going to be successful. That's why I started with God. That's why it had to be spiritual, because I realized I dieted, lost weight, whatever, a million times in the past, but I never prayed about it. To me, it was in like a totally separate category than I didn't see it as sin or anything like that. I just wanted to lose weight so I could be skinnier and shop that. It was very superficial reasons until I began to realize that it was a food problem, it was a food addiction, and it was standing between me and being able to be fully used by God. So when I made that shift, the other thing I considered is I have to do things differently. In the past, when I would relapse, I would fall all the way down, dragged around,
Yes.
gain back the
Yep.
weight, plus another 20. And this time I said, if I fail, I'm going to get up and start again the next day. And that's what I always encourage you guys to do, because we
Yeah.
feel so rotten. You know what I'm saying? And like, you end up at Chick-fil-A. How did I end up here again? You know, with
Right.
this 12 piece.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And the crazy part about it is, just like you said, in the past, I would say, I mean, if I had committed to do something, I'm going to fast today, and around, breakfast time, I don't make, I make the decision to go off my fast. I would easily be a week in a hole, 2 weeks in a hole, just from that one decision not to stick to my commitment. But that was still an excuse for me to fall back into where I wanted to be, But now, if it's like, I make a commitment, and for whatever reason I choose to, and that's the difference as well, because in the past has always been, well, this tripped me up, or Satan setting traps and all of that foolishness. But it's a choice. It's a choice to do outside of what your commitment is. And so in the past, if I have made that decision, then I've gone down this rabbit hole. But now it's like, okay, I made that decision. It wasn't the best decision. I need to get up and get moving again and get back on the right track. I haven't fallen or really laid down, if you will, the way that I have in the past, because I still am moving in that mindset and keeping my mind right. And I don't want to have to do the work all over again. It's hard. Who wants to go back to the beginning? You don't have to. Not interested. No, not doing that.
Yeah, it's like when you start an exercise program, right? And you're so sore the next day, and then you're so sore you don't want to go back, but then you build up time and you're not sore anymore, and then you take a month off and you hit the gym again. It's like, oh, this is so painful. Same thing.
That's exactly right. The starting over is killer. And I have to decide, I'm not doing that. I'm not starting over again. It's too much time wasted. It's too much energy wasted. I mean, there's so much that's involved in making the right decisions and making the right choices and changing the lifestyle. And I'm just like, I'm over starting over, over being back at the beginning and trying to figure out, how did I get back here? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm too old for that. I'm tired. I don't have that much energy, to keep going back to the beginning. I'm not doing it.
Starting over. I like that.
Over it.
Or if we're starting over, maybe we're starting over with in good ways, with good things, taking the bad stuff out and putting the good stuff in.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even see that as starting over. I just see that as a continuation of that mindset that's I'm finally in the right headspace. That's a continuation to me. When I think about starting over, I think about it in the bad way, where I am back at square one. And that's what I can't do that. I can't do that anymore.
What do you think? And so we talked about the spiritual component. I'm thinking about the woman that's like you and I, and we've talked so much over the past year, but I'm thinking about that woman who isolates herself when she's stressed by life. I can remember like secretly eating in my car because it was the only place I could get like quiet and away from my kids and stuff. As if no one could see it on the outside. So you're talking about Chick-fil-A. I ain't even that clean. Okay. I never had a Chick-fil-A thing. I probably think about Chick-fil-A more now than I did when I actually was eating chicken. I was never that pressed about it, but I was sure into that. McDonald's number 11 fish fillet with fries, and my fries better be hot, doggone it. So, I mean, because I also felt with my 250-pound self, if I'm gonna eat these fries and take these calories in, they need to be delicious.
They need to be on point.
Yeah. So that was more my thing, but I think that, how do I say it? I just feel like when you're in the throes of the addiction, number one, you don't see it as an addiction. You don't really believe that it's possible.
Yes.
When did your mind shift from because I remember when we first started working together, there were some moments where I don't think you really thought it was possible. I'm not even talking about weight loss, everybody. I'm talking about making changes, just being able to be different and think differently and not be so controlled by your life circumstances and stuff. When did you feel the shift?
I don't know that it was a gradual shift. It really started for me that first time. I don't know if you remember that first time that we prayed together, and it was like, Holy Spirit showed up, ugly cry. You remember that first prayer, and that was when you told me, like, make better choices. If you want ice cream, then get the coconut bliss that's made with the agave instead of the cane sugar. And and it wasn't like rocket science. It wasn't like anything that I didn't know. But my mind and my spirit was so clouded with doubt and fear and depression and stress that the things that I knew, I couldn't get them front of mind. And so that's when I started to feel like, one, I wasn't alone, and two, like it was possible. And so throughout the process of the rebirth experience is how my mind had started to shift. And I think that when I really started to know that this is doable is when we did the parasite cleanse. Even though, that my life I was struggling with a lot of stuff at that time, and I didn't even complete the cleanse. But my mind was in a space of this is doable, and I came out of the cleanse not having completed it, but okay. Like not having gone all the way back to the bad habits, not going back to the meat, not going back to the living off the sugar and the caffeine, but I could see that this was doable. Not only is it doable, that I could do it, because I never really doubted that it could be done. I just doubted that I could do it. And that was when I really decided that all that you have said, that God is not a respecter of persons, that the same way he showed up for you, he showed up for us. That's when that thing started to click for me, because I would hear you say it. I would hear you say it at crazy times. I'm out in the store, about to pick up something I know I'm supposed to have, and I can hear you say that, God he'll do it for you too, but it was during that time coming out of that cleanse where it really started to sink into my spirit that this is possible. This is doable. And really solidified a few weeks ago when I came to Atlanta, and I had the opportunity to spend that time with you and see how you moved around in your space and how easy it was to cook, and how, it just was real to me then, because I'm thinking about it in my life, in my circumstances. Like, there's no way in the world I could put together a meal for myself that makes any sense, that doesn't include meat, even though I had done it for 20 years prior to the space that I'm in right now. Did it all the time. But it was like that time in life was just completely happened. But it's just been little things, little situations that have just solidified it for me. And now I know for sure and for certain, as sure as I sit here, that it's doable for Ebony, for me.
Right. Wow. Man, you just said so much. But you know what? One of the things I've learned is that the statement is true. Repetition deepens the impression. Yes. And absolutely. So since I've embraced that, I don't have a problem repeating things over and over again now and feeling like I said that already. It is true. God is not a respecter of persons. So when people say, oh, I'm so inspired by you, and after I did the 10K yesterday, and people saying they were so inspired, God knows what he's doing. Because if this had been 5 or 10 years ago, I might have a little bit of pride about some of that or some of this. I don't have no pride. That's just how many times I have relapsed on my life, not just diet, but just been a quitter in general and non-committed, unable to stick to anything that I am always mindful of, go too far and could fall again. So I say that to say, God is not a respecter of persons. God is not like Cara is the only one that I'm going to give, a 60-pound weight loss to. Cara is the only one I'm going to give a business to. She's the only one that I'm going to give an audience. I feel like all of you guys have ministry in you. Why? Because there's someone out there who might say, I don't like her for whatever reason. Maybe they feel like, oh, she talked more and I would have preferred to hear more from Ebony, whatever it is. there's somebody who needs to hear your voice, not just mine. And that's why it's so important that each woman is equipped to do that. And not just that, but different formats. We have different formats and styles. Right. Some women are better in large groups. Some are better in smaller groups. Some of you need to be here just for your family. Like one of Ashan was saying to me, another tribe member, she was like, she said, Kara, you need to get back to basics. She said, you inboxed me and told me you had breast cancer before. You need to get your life. Like, she was like, you were hard on me. She said, this isn't just for me. This is for the generations. Yeah. You know, I'm sowing seeds to my daughter. And I just had kind of forgotten that, you know, in the busyness of it all, that it is seeds for generations. Even if our kids don't do everything perfectly or transition when we do or whatever, we are still seed planters and we have a responsibility to them. Just like some of us, our families unknowingly, especially Black, you know, African Americans, passed down some terrible generational things in terms of diet. It was slave food. That's all they knew. That's all they had. But that doesn't mean that we need to continue in the same thing. We can shift and change it at any time once we recognize it. And so I feel like that's kind of what a lot of us are doing nowadays with this health movement, is saying, I don't have to choose to have that anymore. And not just in terms of food, but I don't have to choose to think those thoughts anymore. Like me being, you know, a negative person most of my adult life. That's a choice. Like, it's not who I am. You know, it's a choice to behave a certain way, to respond to situations a certain way, to let people get you all riled up, to choose to complain all the time instead of saying something positive instead, even if you don't feel it. So, I mean, you know, I put the title on this, transformation, and what you're saying just confirms a note that I wrote, which is that transformation is a slow process.
It is. It is.
You're not going to pick it up and read a book and say, I'm transformed. Even if you get instant deliverance, you still got to work on your transformation.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because the conviction for me came a long time ago. You know, I knew that this lifestyle, I knew that being an alkaline vegan is what God intends for me to be. And not just that, I know that God intends for me to be a high raw alkaline vegan. I know very specifically what he intends for me to, he intends for me to live my life as far as my diet is concerned, because I know that I need that discipline. There are things that are happening in my life right now and that are going to happen that I need the discipline that I'm going to gain from controlling my diet, and will need that to get through my life, to get my children through their lives, to get my husband through his life. I know that. He's already told me that, but I'm not there yet. And I praise God for his grace and his mercy, for the Holy Spirit who continues to woo us, you know, but I know that that's what I'm supposed to be. But that conviction is already there. But that transformation takes time, because we still have to die daily to self. That flesh has to die every single day. And some days I kill it and I'm good. Other days I dig it right up, but that transformation does have to come. It is a process. And while I have to be consistent in it as much as, you know, I can, but I also have to be gentle with myself, because I'm so hard on me. You know, I'm always, you know, talking negatively about me and about the things that I should have done. And I should have done it this way, and I could have done it better, and I should have just stuck to it. Yeah, all that might be true, but what is that mindset helping? How is that feeding my spirit in a way that's going to get me back on the right track by the power of the Holy Spirit? How is that helping? It's not.
It's not.
So, you know, I'm going to, I need to be gentle with myself. We have to be gentle with ourselves throughout this process and understand.
Yeah. Okay, you froze up for a little bit, but I know your signal's going to come back in. I was thinking about Philippians 4:8 when you said that, you know, these scriptures we hear all the time, we just don't activate them. And that's why I felt so strongly that the guide should include scriptures and affirmations and things, because how you talk to yourself is so critical to transforming your mind. Because for most of us, I think the negativity and the self-talk, or even sometimes it's not directly negative, we make excuses. Like I had a friend just confess to me. Now I heard her doing this for years, but she had to come to it on her own, that she always had a reason. She would say, I'm just not hungry. I don't eat enough. That's why I'm not losing weight, which really wasn't the case. It really meant she wasn't eating all day long, and then she was binging in the evening.
Yes.
And that's why she was keeping the weight on. It wasn't that she was eating too much. It was that when she did eat, it was the wrong food. But she had to come to that conclusion in her own mind before she could begin her process. So how do you talk to yourself? Are you being honest with yourself? So I may look at something and know I want it, but I would say I'm choosing not to have that. And it's a choice for me. I could have it because I'm grown, but I'm not going to. And that helped me back away, especially in the beginning. It's so hard because you're putting in all this work and you're putting in the mind work or whatever, and the weight is not coming off. You don't feel like you look like your effort at the beginning. It takes time. It's a transformation process. I do want to say hi to Karen and Deanna, who are watching us. If anybody else is watching, go ahead and say hi. Feel free to share. We'll be wrapping up soon. If you guys have questions, go ahead and ask those questions. I'm going to give you the link here so that you can read more information about the program. I really didn't want this to be like some heavy sales pitch per se, but I just want to make sure as many people as possible. I can't hold this in anymore. And I feel like I don't do a good enough job of letting enough women know. I really need to hit the streets and get out there now that I know that it's not just me, Cara, that experienced this, but it's also so many other women who are experiencing the same transformational efforts. And if you go on the link, as well as on the on my business page, the review side, you'll see what people have shared. I didn't ask them, I didn't pay them. I said, hey, if you want to share a review, go ahead. Hey, Antoinette. Hey, Valerie and Anita. If you guys have questions, definitely let us know. Ebony, real quick, because it's important, because we all addicted to food. Tell everyone, people are so worried. I just talked to someone today talking about they don't like quinoa. What does she say? She doesn't like people give me this list of all the foods they don't like. I see your pictures, Cara, and they look, it looks good, but I don't like that. And maybe somebody didn't make it right. That's always what I'm thinking. Yeah. But what do you have to say to people about the food? And listen, you guys, again, I didn't pay her for what she's about to say. Go ahead.
I mean, having been vegetarian, vegan, like I said before, and then growing up as Seventh-day Adventist, pretty much, we eat a lot of different stuff. When I first saw the guide, I was a little bit shaky. I was like, okay, I mean, all right, I can go with it. I'll try some things. Everything in there that I've had is good. Everything is good. I like to eat. I'm not going to eat anything nasty. I'm just not, because I don't have to. I would rather... my flesh is like, I would rather stick with my chicken than eat something that's nasty and healthy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not the right way to think about it, but everything that we have tried, everything that you have shared with us has been great. I didn't like quinoa either, but I didn't like quinoa because I didn't know how to cook it. Every time I fixed it, it was crunchy and bitter. Yeah. And then you showed us how to make it. And now when I make it, I like it. Why? Because I make it right. So it's all in. And at the end of the day, there's so much variety out there. There's so many things that you can eat that are spectacular, that are so good. If you don't like something, try something different. That's all. Right. It's no harm, no foul. If you don't like it this time, you really don't have to eat it again. Sure, you could try it and see if you could tweak it and make it better. But at the end of the day, pick something else. As long as you pick something that's good for you and that's nourishing your body, pick something else. But I have my favorites out of the guide. You know what I like, the alkaline pizza and the walnut meat and the marinara and the zoodles. Yeah, and you like those raw dishes. Yes, I do. I like the raw food, a lot. When we first did the detox, the raw was only a week, and I ate raw for like 3 weeks. I was good right there. Rochelle does the same thing. Stuff. Yeah, yes. So the other ladies were talking about a lot of the dishes that they had tried on week 3 and 4. I hadn't gotten there yet. I was still hanging out in the raw section. And it was good for me. It was really good. Well, the other thing I've noticed is, I was sharing this with somebody, I don't like cooking for people, which I say all the time.
I like teaching people how to do for themselves. And one of the things I actually like is that the women are not all in week 4. By the time they get past week 2, they're kind of swimming. They're making their own combinations of stuff. Now, when we restart this next 6 weeks, I'm going to cook specific things from the guide just to be able to say, hey, this is in week 3. Had you seen this? Did you know you could make stuffed peppers using this? And that sort of thing, just to encourage them if they're, starting to repeat a lot of the same stuff and getting bored. This is something that they can, go ahead and do. So let me real quick, you guys, for those of you who are watching, I'm going to shout out and show a couple of our Rebirth ladies. I just want to shout you guys out and just say hi. There's Karen right there. My sweet. I haven't met all my ladies in person, you guys. This is an online program, so I haven't met a lot of them in person before, but I did get a chance to meet Karen in Texas, and we had a wonderful time, beautiful spirit. So, hey, Karen. And then we also have Ethel is watching. She said greetings. She's a runner too, you guys. So I need some tips. I wish you were local because I really got to train. I did okay yesterday. And my husband, he said I did better than he thought I would, but she runs all the time. And so I need some tips on improving my time because I'm a big competitor, right? With the food, I was like, the devil can't win. I'm not going to eat the devil's food. So I just got to switch that up to go even higher with the fitness. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting some tips from her on that. So we have Ethel. And then Karen said, by the way, about the quinoa, the first time she made it, it was disgusting. I want everybody to see that. The second time, after listening to others, she added spices and preparation and enjoy it. That's what makes it so great about doing things in a community because you can get tips and stuff from other people, especially in a tribe like ours where everybody is so vested to be there. I'm in like 95 Facebook groups, but there's very few I'm in where people are active, engaged, and they have the same mindset. So there's no negativity and, you get encouragement when you need it. You feel safe to confide. I'll touch on that in a second. But at any rate, she's right about the quinoa. I didn't used to make it very well either until I learned a couple of tips. I'm actually going to do a quinoa video for the public in maybe a week or two, just to show everybody a basic application and basic preparation, because you can eat a gang of it and not gain a pound, whereas that rice is gummed up on the inside. It's killing you. Now, if you want to have a little rice every now and then, that's fine. Okay. So you had a little bit here and there, especially if you were out somewhere or whatever. But it's high starch. The white rice goes straight to sugar in your system and just makes it so much harder for you to overcome the craving. So go to the quinoa. It's worth the time to figure out how to make it right because it can totally take the place of rice. Wait a minute. We got a question from Deb, and I'm going to let you answer it. Karen also says she cooked with grapeseed oil. She's fallen in love. I know. I'm so addicted.
I buy it in a big gallon.
Angela said, hi. Hi, Angela. I'm so crazy about your son. Okay, this is a tad bit of a sidebar for 20 seconds, but I met Angela's son in the health food store. That's the funny thing about this alkaline thing. He was shopping for something that I knew only another alkaline person would be looking at. So I think I gave him an answer to a question or something. I said, you can have this whole section of pastas, and was showing him all this stuff in the store. We hit it off. He's dropped over 100 pounds. I mean, he is so inspirational how he keeps pressing, to get his life back. So shout out to you, Angela. Your son is amazing. He's a great guy. Haven't seen him since then, but we stay connected on social media. So I know he's got some coaching and stuff in him because the men need help bad. The men need help bad. And I, if the Lord leads, maybe I can do something in the future for the fellas. All right. So here's a question from Deb. Let's answer this, Ebony. She hates to cook and prep. How can she change her mindset?
I usually set aside one day. And so either I do it like Saturday evening or I do it early Sunday morning. And what I do while I'm prepping and cooking, I usually watch a documentary that I really enjoy, or I'm listening to something, inspirational that's getting me excited about making these healthy choices. So I watch a ton of food documentaries on the weekend, and sometimes I watch the same ones weekend after weekend because I'm feeding my mind. And so I will tend to watch something while I'm prepping. But the other thing about it, Deb, is you kind of have to decide that either I'm gonna, if I have to do this, then I need to enjoy it. So again, it's a changing of the mindset. If you continue to think about the fact that you hate to do it, and you hate the cooking and you hate the prepping, and I know you've done a ton of it in your life, that does make it harder. So if you think about, I'm doing this great thing, this positive thing, how can I make it enjoyable? Turn on some music that you enjoy. Turn on something, listen to something inspirational. Make it fun. Clean your kitchen, put out your utensils, buy some nice cookware, buy some nice, knives, do something. You got to change your mindset around it, and then it will become enjoyable. And then you knock it out. I think of my menu, what I'm going to eat for the week ahead of time. I write it on a whiteboard, stick it on my refrigerator, and I decide, I make a couple of different things, and how can I switch it up? So what can I do with this quinoa, or what can I do with this wild rice? How can I do it a couple, 3 different ways? Plan it out ahead of time, write it out, and then, just get in it.
That's good stuff, because I don't write anything down in advance per se, but Deb would be great at that, because she might be the only person I know that lays her clothes out for the week on Sunday. So, whereas she's been telling me this for years, and I'm always like, I don't know what I want yet. I don't know what I want to wear. I might wake up in the morning and feel like color, or I might wake up and feel like black and white. And I kind of feel like the same way about my food. So I make sure I have the right stuff in the kitchen. And then that way I can pick and pull. And then if I make something, one thing that would help you, Deb, first of all, you make the commitment, right? This is where God is calling me. I'm not going to turn around. Once you make that commitment, you got to set yourself up for success with what's around you, what's in the kitchen. Do you need a routine? Like Ebony said, you don't want to do it. I get it. I promise you I don't want to do it. People think I do, but I don't. But what I want even less is to be fat again. I hate to use that word. I know people don't like it. But for me, my fear of regressing outweighs me not wanting to cook. And I don't want to spend a fortune eating out, and I don't want to eat nasty food. And health food out somewhere is either usually not all the way healthy, because I'll have it sometimes, or it's not tasty. It's not good. Whereas I make it myself, I can control it and make it taste good so that I can still enjoy meals like I used to back in the day. So that's what gets me motivated. But you know what? Having some music on, or like I used to, we were in the rental house before we moved back in here while the house was being repaired. The TV, you couldn't see it from the kitchen. So I would use my little iPad, prop it up, and I would pick a show to watch. Like that was my little me time, or some music, and I would just chop and everything, doing that. And also how you talk to yourself the whole time. Stop telling yourself that you hate to do it, and instead say, Lord, I thank you for this food. I thank you I had the money to buy groceries. I thank you that my hands work and I'm able to chop. I thank you that, you've given me the community here that can help me, push me to do more than I want to do. All these little things that you speak to yourself so that the devil can stop building on you saying, I hate it. And then he's like, you don't want to do it. You don't feel like doing it. Just go get you some Chinese food or whatever it is. He's going to use what you're already saying to yourself and multiply it so that he can bring about your demise, and you don't get that expected in from Jeremiah.
Yep. I agree completely.
Let me switch to this one here, because I don't want us to be on too long. Wait a minute. I'm coming back to Ethel. Antoinette, brown rice, would you recommend as part of a healthy program? I'm hesitating to answer because there's so much on the internet that will tell you brown rice is healthy for you. It's still rice. It's still starchy. Quinoa is just better, because quinoa is not even really a grain. It's a complete protein. It contains the 9 essential amino acids to help your body function optimally. You will get energy from quinoa. You'll have better mental clarity. You'll still be full. But from rice, you'll get like a full type feeling, but it's more bloat. And, it's not that I never have rice. Again, you guys, I'm not being perfect, but I am bloated when I eat it, whether it's brown or white or whatever. So if rice is a stronghold for you, you probably need to let it go, like altogether. And I know someone like that. She had to stop eating rice altogether. For me, sugar's my stronghold. Rice is not a stronghold for me. So I could have a little bit and I may not have any for a month. But it's really up to you and your discretion. Consider how it makes you feel. But I guarantee you, if you had some quinoa cooked properly, you're not going to feel so strongly led to go back to the rice unless you're out in a, emergency type situation. What do you think, Ebony? Anything you want to add to that?
I agree. And that feeling that you have, even after eating brown rice, there is a heaviness that I feel. And there's a spike, a temporary spike in my energy, and then I crash. And that's what starches do to me. And I never have that with quinoa.
No.
I never have that feeling.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't really have those crashes at all anymore. And, I've been struggling with anemia for a long time, which I've shared, and I haven't been tested lately, so I don't know where my levels are. But I do know the funny thing is my anemia had worsened before when I was still eating meat. People think this is because I'm plant-based, and it's not.
Yeah.
I dropped to a level 7 when you're supposed to be at 12. I was dizzy. I couldn't drive, all that, right? So I brought my levels back up. Then when I switched plant-based, initially, for whatever reason, my levels dropped again, but I didn't have any of those symptoms. It's like I had the same level where I should have been dizzy and I should have been tired all the time or whatever, but I still had energy because of the food. So I'm like, man, if I get to a level 12, I'm going to be a beast, But that starch will drain you. It turns to sugar in your system and you crash and you feel all, the itis. Like we think that we're supposed to feel like that. Food is supposed to power you through the day. It is not supposed to drag you down and make you sleepy. Let me go down here to something that Ethel said I'm going to put up here. She used to shy away from prep. She told herself it's too time consuming until RBE. That's the rebirth, you guys. Your recipes made things simple, took away the frustration of what am I going to eat. I needed the structure and guidance the recipes provided. Once I started meal prepping, I experienced the simplicity meal prepping provided. Amen. Mm-hmm. And you know what, you guys, I waver back and forth with it. So anybody reading that, it doesn't really give you that level of structure in the guide. Like, go do your prep. Now, that's something I'm considering incorporating now that I'm fully out on my own, which is, reminders about prep and things like that. If that will help people. But what I really want is for you guys to just be thinking about it. Have it present of mind. What am I going to eat? Even if you don't get it all done, you may start in partial moments. Like for me, I finally got in a system where Friday I grocery shopped, Saturday night I did my chopping, and then Sunday when I went in to cook the food, it took like an hour. I mean, it's much faster than when I would make meat and stuff and be in the kitchen all day long. It was like chop, grocery shop, chop, cook, because when I was doing it all in the same day, come on, y'all, that's your whole day. You're at the grocery store. It takes 30 minutes to get to the good one, 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes in there, 30 minutes back home. What? Now I got to unload this car, wash everything, chop it. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? So when I split it up and did it in different days, and you got to do it based on what works for you, then it really wasn't that time consuming. And like the picture I posted earlier today of the chickpea pasta, that pasta cooked in 8 minutes. And while the pasta was cooking, I'm chopping onions, peppers, whatever. That's a 30-minute meal. And because the pasta is made from chickpeas and lentils, it's packed with protein. You got your vegetables mixed in there. Like, it's a total meal in a bowl by itself. But from a mental perspective, you might want to tie it with something else. But I'm just saying, your whole meal is done, inside of 20 minutes. So it's only as complicated as you make it. But I thank God for you guys, because I tend to be a very complicated cook. But I've had to simplify to be able to help more people. So thank you for that, Ethel. I'm just glad that the community has been of value to you. Okay, I'm gonna post up Angela's comment, because I know, Ebony, me and you feel her on this.
Yes.
All right. Sugar is demonic. Like. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really could get emotional and cry over some sugar. Yeah. God made natural sugar. God made dates. God created trees that release maple syrup.
Yes.
Which are delicious. Both of those. But Satan invented white cane sugar and then put it in everything. I don't care if you never joined the Rebirth, if you never listen to anything else I say, start reading the labels. I had a lady tell me this weekend, I think it was at the race, everything they gave out after this race had sugar in it. Oh, it's only 15 grams. Listen, can you only be just a little bit pregnant? No. I say don't buy anything with sugar. You can't.
You can't be just a little bit pregnant.
Yeah, you can't be. You don't need it at all. Because especially if it's your weakness. There's some people who, their thing is salt or chicken wings or whatever. But if you know the sugar is your thing, you got to just make a pledge. I'm not going to consume it at all. I would come home at the office. They would have donuts. I'd come home and I would Google instructions. And if I wanted that bad, I told myself, Cara, if you want it that bad, you're going to have to make it. So if I didn't feel like making it, I would just say, I guess I'm not going to have that, or I'll eat a banana or something at night. For whatever reason, people don't want to eat fruit at night. They feel like it's too late at night to put fruit on my system, but I'm going to eat this donut, though. This Snickers bar, peanut M&Ms. I used to love those, too. So I just praise God, because if you'd ever told me that I would go a year and a half without a Snickers bar, a donut, some peanut M&Ms, Reese's peanut butter cups, I used to love those. What was yours, Ebony?
Girl, do you know the Ben & Jerry's ice cream?
Yes.
Every night. What? Every night. Yes.
Every night?
Every night. A whole entire pint of Ben & Jerry's, everything but the ice cream. That was my favorite. And yeah, I was in a jag where I would eat one every night.
That not only is that's expensive though too.
Yeah, girl. As usual, me having to go to extreme on everything. And the crazy part about it is I would have like a venti white chocolate mocha every morning on the way to work, and I would have a pint of Ben & Jerry's every night before I joined the Rebirth, religiously. I can't even begin to think how much sugar that was in my system. And then I wondered why I was sluggish and I was cranky and weight just kind of just blowing up, skin terrible, just so many different things that were happening to me. And it was the sugar. Could not function. And I'm still not completely delivered, because I haven't chosen to be. That's the real talk. I haven't chosen to be, but not where I was. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to be successful, I have to make that same pledge. I cannot, under any circumstances, have sugar that is not natural. I cannot. It is an absolute stronghold for me.
Yeah. And you tend to get caught out there the most when you didn't make something and now you want something sweet. It's not that people are at home baking pound cakes. Most people aren't cooking anymore at all. It's that they're out somewhere or they brought something to the office or whatever. Don't stare at it, ladies. That's the problem. That's why David fell, staring at Bathsheba, who was not his wife. That sugar is not your friend. You shouldn't even be staring at it. When you see it, I rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Take it seriously.
Absolutely.
Turn and walk away.
And not even just the staring at it. If it crosses my mind, if I think, oh man, I feel like some ice cream tonight, in order for me not to give in, I have to immediately pray that thing over. That is true story. I have to say, Holy Spirit, please help me. Holy Spirit, please help me. And I have to say it. If I don't, I'm going to do it. Because it's that same thing. I ruminate on it. I can have a little bit. I'll treat myself tonight. I didn't cuss nobody out at work. Oh, I should have some ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Crazy stuff. Oh, I didn't do whatever. I should reward myself with some ice cream. And it's all an excuse. And it's an addiction. It is an absolute 100%. It's an addiction, just like any other drug. Yeah.
Well, Angela said that she's going to do a pledge, with the no sugar. What I want people to think about too also is people will go on these cleanses, no sugar during the cleanse, and then go back to it. Why would you return to the same vomit? So if you're going to do a cleanse or a detox, while you're detoxing and cleansing, instead of thinking about, all the bad food that you're going to go back to, why not instead give some time to thinking about the changes you're going to make as a result of this process? Do your own reflection towards the end. What have you learned? What has your body taught you during this time? What have you learned about your cravings? Like, what did you crave the most, and what did you didn't even realize you hadn't thought about, during that time, so that you can come up with your plan for how am I going to move forward after this is over, and what permanent changes am I going to make?
Yep, absolutely. That preparation. If you stay committed during a detox or a cleanse, whether it's a day or 3 days or 7 days or 40, whatever it is, if you stay committed during that time, then that is a sign to you, to yourself, that you can do it, that it's possible. If you can go 7 days without sugar, and you know that you normally having sugar on top of sugar day in and day out, you don't do it for 7 days, you can do it. You cannot have sugar for life. Because if you can stick to that commitment, then there's something that you have done during that 7 days that's given you the strength to do it. And so stick to it. And that's what I did not do for myself. That's what I did not stick to for myself, because, in each of when we've done the rebirth, particularly the first time, I was on point. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that I said I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to have coffee. I wasn't going to have meat. I wasn't going to have sugar. And I did it. But I had no plan after. I knew that those were a part of my life. Those were things that I did. So I had to have a plan. I should have had a plan of how I was going to replace those things with healthy options. And I didn't have that plan. And so I reverted right back. I went back to everything,
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have a plan. If you enjoy a sweet treat every now and then, or even if you enjoy a sweet treat every night, how can you do that? How can you have that enjoyment without it being a detriment to your commitment and to your life?
Right. You need a new practice. That's what I've learned. If you're going to take something out, put something back in. So if your struggle is nighttime eating, can you find like the most amazing herbal tea and sweeten it with a little organic raw agave or maple syrup and have that every night and drink it slowly? Sip it slowly and think about your day and let go of the stress. Like, turn it into something that is going to help heal you, instead of going to get that bad snack you don't need, and doing that every night. We all have habits. We just need to change the bad habit. Don't just let go of the bad stuff. Replace it with something else. So, what'd you say? So you don't feel deprived. Yeah. Let me make sure of the questions, and then I'm going to close because I don't want to keep too much of your time. But Angela said you don't use a food processor or chopper. So I have a food processor for whatever reason. It has to be like, I don't feel like dealing with these onions, and I'll chop in it. But most of the time, it depends on what I'm cooking. I want it to be diced a certain way, whereas a food processor just kind of blends everything. So I don't always want that look, but mine is halfway. It's like on its last leg, broken, which I'm kind of sad about, because it was supposed to be a good brand. So I'm gonna have to buy a new one. If I can get one that will chop the way I want, then I won't do it. But the other thing is, ladies, if you're, especially the way we eat, we're eating a lot of the same foods in different combinations. So why chop one onion? Why not chop 2 or 3? Why not chop up all your bell peppers when you first get them? Because you can transfer them to the freezer, just like you buy them in the store frozen. You can transfer them to the freezer, and then you don't have as much prep to do the next time. So all these little things you see you're doing on repeat all the time. Or if your vegetables look like they're about to go bad, roast them in the oven, toss them in a little bit of oil, any kind of seasoning you like, lay them on a single layer on a pan, put them in the oven at like 400 for 20 minutes or so, and roast them. Then you can take them and put them in the freezer after that and make them into a sauce. There's so many things that you can do with it so that you can cut down on your food waste. All right. So yeah, Phil said replacing healthy options is essential. You did that 1 hour last week it took. So I'm going to put the link up again to the Rebirth page. Nothing that I'm doing is perfect. I want to make sure everybody knows that. We are still always working out. I'm still working out kinks with various things. So I spent a lot of time kind of modifying the page a bit. My website is in progress, so that will have more information on it once it's done, hopefully soon. For whatever reason, I can't get it to pop up, but it's bit.ly/rebirth. I just changed it to a new page, bit.ly/rebirth. All right, so you can go there and get more information about it. And we're starting on the 9th, and it is We're starting with mind work the first week. Then the second week, we're doing a fruit detox. And then the next few weeks, we go into regular plant-based foods. And we're going to have a good time and really enjoy and build community and get to know each other better. So I'm going to bring us to a close because I'm thinking that we might not be live anymore. I don't know how this works. Oh, no, we are.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay. Well, it won't let me put the link up. But at any rate, bit.ly/rebirth experience. Rebirth experience. And you can go there and learn more about the program and hopefully join us. We start on Sunday. We run for the next 6 weeks. And then after that, we just roll into regular group coaching. I know we'll do another cleanse this fall. That will be included. We'll decide either on the group, depending on how many people we have. Maybe we divide into do 2 different cleanses. We will use accountability partners again for the fruit feast. So if you're a newbie and you're not sure if you'll be able to do it, you'll have someone to interact with to give you support. I think that was huge on the parasite cleanse, Ebony. Each person having a person. Absolutely. Very big deal. So in closing, like I said, go ahead and check out everything on the program. I do want to thank Ebony so much. And the last question I have for you, what have you learned about yourself? Close us out with that. What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that I'm capable. I'm capable of accomplishing my goals. You have challenged us to think beyond the food and to really think about our life goals, and I have had a particular goal kind of, skipping around in my mind for a while now. And I feel like now I know that I'm capable. I know that I can do it. And I have learned that because of the times when I have made the commitment to do something or not to do something, and I stuck to it. So I know that I can. By God's grace, by the power of the Holy Spirit, I'm capable.
Amen. Amen. Well, I want to thank you for joining, everybody. I'm typing the link right now. Somebody asked for it, but for whatever reason, I can't get it to show up on the screen. So I'm typing it here in the comments so that you guys can see it there. I thank you for your time. We will be doing this. I will have a couple other people that will come on and talk to us, and then I'm going to move into a regular format. I'll be launching a new show called Life and Other Indoor Sports. It's not going to just be about food and health. It's going to be about all the stuff in our life and other indoor sports. So look for information on that soon. Ebony, thank you so much. I love you. I love all my RBE sisters. I love all my future RBE sisters. Some of y'all going to sign up and you don't even know it. Right now, you're like, nope, not interested. Not trying to get this, that, or whatever. But God knows. And He's the one that's guiding all of us here. I promise you, none of us thought we would be here a year ago.
Absolutely. For real.
All right. Thank you and good night. Bye.
Thanks, ladies. Bye-bye.